Did you guys see what was going on down in Louisiana? If you saw this scene in any other moment, in any other door cam, you'd go, somebody's got to go find those criminals that were chasing this young woman.
Leave me alone!
Video obtained by CNN shows federal agents wearing ice vests chasing a woman back to her home in Mistreatment, Louisiana, a suburb of New Orleans. Jacelyn, 22-year-old mother, says she's a U.S. citizen who was born and raised in Louisiana. She asked that her last name not be used to protect her privacy. She says she was walking home from the grocery store when the masked agents attempted to approach her a few feet from her house. Jacelyn can be heard yelling at the men as she runs towards her home.
Leave me alone!
Moments later, a man identified as Jacelyn's stepfather is heard yelling at the agents before they are seen heading back to a vehicle.
No, you're the one making a stand. We weren't even looking for you. So get out of here. Why? So what are you looking for? This is a public area. Okay, what's so I want to speak to you. Well, I don't want to talk to you either. You're the one talking to me. Hispanic people against Hispanic, bro.
So that young woman runs into the house. Her stepfather has to come out and scream and yell at these guys who cowardly jump back in their car and take off, when really they should be arrested. So if they would have gotten what they wanted, what would they have done with that woman? We've heard other accounts of what they've done with women and children and men that they've arrested, kidnapped, and tortured. Some of those folks are still missing. It's weird how, a criminal in the White House can start this whole process for claiming he's taken the worst of the worst off the streets, when instead he's chasing young women down the street and before they're confronted by someone who tells them to get the hell out of here. So Greg Bovino is, of course, leading these operations. He's down in this particular video in Kenner, Louisiana. Of course, again, near New Orleans. And the folks came out to make sure that he didn't get done what he wanted to get done.
They cannot come in if you do not give that verbal, allowed permission. Do not open your door. They need permission to enter your house unless they have a paper. They don't got papers. U.S. Border Patrol. By law, they cannot enter unless you open your door and give them permission. Anyway, U.S. Border Patrol. Get us up.
I wonder if there's a bit more of a cautious approach that these guys are having. Those first folks ran away when the guy stepped out. As community members step out in the streets and start warning folks not to open their doors, and Greg Bovino's sorry ass right there walking away. I'm wondering if they're finally starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. People have guns in this country. If someone comes to your door and they're going to start snatching up your family members, it's about time to start taking matters into your own hands. Maybe they're beginning to realize that that's a clear and very easy possibility for them to run into. So they've stretched their forces both north and south up to also Minnesota. And we've heard a bit of their excuses for why they're attacking folks in Minnesota, but specifically a certain grouping of Americans in this country up in Minnesota. And they're represented many times by Representative Ilhan Omar here, who was on Face the Nation.
I just wonder what the reaction is in your district to have that from the highest office in the land.
It's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. These are Americans that he is calling garbage. And we feel like there is an unhealthy obsession that he has on the Somali community, and an unhealthy and creepy obsession that he has with me. I think it is also really important for us to remember that this kind of hateful rhetoric And this level of dehumanizing can lead to dangerous actions by people who listen to the president.
And not just by random people who listen to the president, but by people who've been deputized by this president, who during his campaign said he's going to release all accountability for many officers, but apparently also ICE officials and Border Patrol agents to come and do whatever it is they want to any citizen that they want. You see a woman on the street, chase her down until she gets home and maybe get a chance, if you just missed, to do to her what they did to this Somali woman up in Minneapolis area. This woman was arrested while running an errand near the Nicollet Mall in downtown Minneapolis. Her cousin said that she was confronted by multiple federal agents who zip-tied her and brought her to the Sherburne County Jail in Elk River. He also said that the agents mocked her hijab and touched her inappropriately. The woman was released on Thursday after more than 24 hours in custody. She was let go after her husband showed authorities her passport card proving her citizenship. But the woman was too shaken up to speak publicly about it. Of course, it's a Somali woman who was arrested in this whole thing. Based on what? What is it you think they arrested this woman based off of? Then touched her inappropriately and made fun of her hijab, I believe is what they said they were upset about. Because, these guys are on the up and up and they're law enforcement officials, not racist. Here's a little bit more. What could you be hiding under your hijab and stuff like that was what they said. And they even made a joke saying this would be the wrong attire to try and run away from us in. That's what one of the cousins' interaction with federal authorities, his quote about what he saw them say. He says, I feel upset. Obviously, it brings me a lot of anxiety and stress because this is my family and I call Minnesota home. He didn't want to give his name because his own immigration status as a documented immigrant from Somalia was something he was worried about them violating as well. I just want to connect these things. These pieces of cowards chase young women down the street until they get to the house, and then a guy comes out, her stepfather comes out and screams at them, and suddenly, they got to back away. But they were emboldened before because they attack women. In this particular case, up in Minneapolis, they attacked this Somali American woman, talk about her hijab, touch her inappropriately, keep her in prison for 24 hours until someone shows them papers. If nothing else, the folks who are now upset about this are beginning to be. You have to start acknowledging that way before these policies were implemented, way back when they were putting in Tom Homan, way back when they were talking about Pete Hegseth, way back when they were talking about Patches Patel and Pam Bondi, putting them in all these positions of power, and Greg Bavino and them taking over and deputizing DC and LA and all this that they've been doing. As we've seen it go down, it's about time to start recognizing when folks were saying the Gestapo is here and they're going to be attacking people and assaulting them and checking for papers wrongfully and unconstitutionally, that we should have stopped them then. Now you were just a part of making sure that we got here. It's about time to acknowledge a little bit of that. And speaking of Tom Homan.
Mr. Homan, the president said very clearly this week that he doesn't want Somali immigrants in America. He called them garbage. Is that the real reason this operation is happening in the Somali community?
No, I think President Trump's referring to public safety threats as national security threat from Somalia and every other country.
Well, he didn't say that. He said
he's been clear from day one.
He talked about the whole community.
Well, look, I'm not aware what the President Trump was thinking when he said that, but I agree with President Trump. From day one, he has said, we are concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. He was put in the Oval Office to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. That's exactly what we're doing. That's what American people voted for. So there's numerous countries that President Trump's, is looking at everybody that came from these countries, make sure they're vetted properly. Some of these countries don't have the proper systems in place to totally vet somebody, so we don't know who they really are. So President Trump's taken upon himself in this administration to make sure anybody that came to this country illegally that we find, and those that came into a vetting process that weren't properly vetted because they don't have the database and information to ensure they're properly vetted, that we're going to relook at those cases and make sure they're properly vetted. So President Trump's doing the right thing. Make sure everybody that came in illegally came in through proper vetting, especially from countries that are related to terrorism or are somehow related to high numbers of overstays or high number of criminal aliens in this country. That's what he's doing. He's protecting America, and I agree with 100% what he's doing, Dana.
And Dana Bash just moved on. Even though he didn't answer the question, when the question was, do you support this rabid racist rhetoric from your president, who now, after that rabid racist rhetoric, is sending you guys up into Minneapolis to attack American citizens? And then after attacking those American citizens, you just act like nothing ever happened. Instead, he goes on that long BS diatribe about how they're coming after the worst of the worst. It's like the same recited speech over and over again when we actually see what it is that they're doing. So, maybe again, rather than invite him on to say all that and not get him to answer the question, how about you kick his ass off? Be like, well, Mr. Holman, you didn't answer the question, and it's apparent that you do agree with the rabid racism, which is why you guys are attacking certain communities up in Minneapolis. Get the fuck off the show. The mic operator will take it off for you. Get the fuck out of here. Every time you talk to Tom Holman, I just need a reporter to ask him, have you do you feel that you've completely skirted by your $50,000 bribe that we all know the Department of Justice has been hiding ever since, along with the Epstein files? Do you feel clear and comfortable again to come back on TV and expect no one to ask you about the bribes that you've been taking? He's a liar. He's a liar, and he's avoided this. I didn't talk to the president about that. So maybe you should, unless you're in agreement with that.